Alright. Leave. Leave meeting.
It was freaking.
Razzle dazzle. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, and you still think of chocolates.
Oh,
And
you
name
know,
tags.
they were there.
Oh.
They were in my office, and I just grabbed.
Okay. We're all here.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, you gotta let folks.
Yeah, I gotta let people in there.
With Laurel coming. Oh, she's
Laura
there.
is right
I
there.
didn't even see
Oh,
her.
yeah, you
She
don't
sneak
have-
in just now?
Yeah,
She did.
I would think
She's
that's
quiet.
useful
Got a full house.
We're through. It's nice.
As full as we
to
can
be
get.
proactive
Yeah.
about it instead of waiting. Yeah, but I don't think it's
Yeah,
meant.
I am. I'm painting all day, pulling up baseboard.
That's why I
Oh,
was
at your
renovate my
house?
house. No, at a rental.
Oh.
My hair is still a little wet.
Leo's got you working, Lauren?
He's in the other unit. I'm in my unit. He's got to stay in his unit. I'm staying in my unit.
Stay in your corner, wearing
He
your
comes
belt.
over to check it out. I'm like, go back over there. I'm just fine.
I'm gonna
Tell me
call
how
the
to do
meeting
it.
to order.
That's me in the kitchen. If I cook anything, my husband
Breeze,
goes.
Quite the opposite.
February 26th.
Oh,
My husband
so
does
I'm
that
doing you.
meeting.
Oh.
He goes behind me and read, please. Please, it's really irritating. However, there are worse things.
There are
that happen
worse.
in
There
the
are.
Too
future.
much chitty chat going on.
Well,
Okay,
give us
sorry.
Chatty,
What do you
chat,
need?
chat, chat.
We're ready, Vicki.
All right, well, I called the meeting to order.
Okay.
So could we have a roll call? We'll start over here with Ryan.
Sanders is here.
Laurel Hill Ward, present.
Donna Kresge here. If you want to come here,
Trisha out there too, here.
I'm right here. Thank you. And the invocation, all together now.
This is our school. May peace dwell here. May the rules be full of contentment. May love abide here. Love of one another. Love of our school and love of life itself. Let us remember that as many hands build a house, so many hearts build a school.
Thank you. Item 1.4, agenda modifications. Okay. And moving on. Item 1.5, do we have any audience to address the council? I'm seeing no response.
So quiet.
All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda, item number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. Thank you. And any comments or questions before we vote? Okay, let's have a vote to accept consent agenda.
I get to start.
Go right ahead, thanks.
All right, Ryan, aye.
Laurel, I.
Donna, aye. Vicky, aye.
Trisha, aye.
Okay. Item number 3, faculty report. Cheryl, we've got you right here. And is Sarah with us too?
Sarah's with us. She's got I'm not on Zoom to share
Okay,
the slides, so,
She's still
but I
connecting.
can share it with Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're up,
He's
right?
connecting to audio.
Or Maggie, I guess I can show you.
See it. Think I'm gonna win the race.
Maybe I should just try to get it from email and pull it up. Sure.
Oh, I can share, sorry, Maggie. I shared it with
Cheryl.
I'd say I was sharing, but.
Let's
She
see.
went out.
BOCC.
Oh, okay. Well, I am sharing it if you want.
Where is your? Oh, did
Oh.
you want to share it, Ryan?
Right, I sent it
Yeah,
to
she
Ryan.
sent it.
Okay. Oh,
all righty.
so pretty.
Isn't that nice?
That's great.
It's Black History Month.
It is.
Uh-huh.
Is that the Jamaican?
I don't know.
It is, I think they're black
Oh,
colors.
So I noticed there are some books, I believe they came from Kate McDonald in the front office that folks can look at that honor Black history, and we're trying to bring that literature in. Unfortunately, I'm telling a story from China right now. That's the rhythm. And back when we were sharing, it was very close to Valentine's Day, so that was our Valentine tea down at the bottom. Very full house.
It is so fun.
We had homemade cinnamon rolls and rose tea and lovely guests, and the children were lovely too. And they really enjoyed crafting, making cards, and two of the bigger children, the olders, made those invitations up top. And then down on the bottom, I don't know if you can see the tree is bare there, but as we've gone through the weeks, I'm telling a story about a bamboo maiden, but there's a youth with a heart of kindness in it. And so whenever a child does something that's very like a kind deed, showing their heart of kindness, they get to take one of the felted hearts out of the dish and hang it on that tree. So now our tree is getting full of hearts of kindness. So that's TK in kindergarten. In grade 2, Miss Brittany said second grade always has so much fun together. A lot of love in our classroom and many sweet surprises on Valentine's Day.
So all the flowers, where did those come from?
Her admirers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, to be a second grade teacher.
Yeah, they
You get a lot of fun.
wonderful. Yeah.
They know she likes all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your class.
Yeah.
And in Miss McDonald's class, they're studying fungi and various plant kingdoms. And the students have found the world of fungi weird and interesting.
Oh, they love it.
Just like a 5th grader. Did you know that the largest organism in the world is Armillaria solidipes? I'm not pronouncing that very well. Solidipes, honey fungus. It spans 2,384 acres in the Pacific Northwest.
Wow. It's pretty amazing.
And they're growing their own mushrooms too.
I've gotten those for Christmas before. They're really fun.
Yeah.
Mhm. And this is the Middle Ages with Mrs. Todd. We're very happy to have found her, that she came back to us. As I've stepped into the role of teacher for 6th grade, students and I have been getting to know one another and building a strong classroom community. We recently transitioned from our astronomy unit to an exploration of the Middle Ages. Students are diving into medieval times, learning about castles, knights, and daily life during this fascinating period. As part of their studies, they're working on a hands-on castle project where they will design and build their own castles while writing an essay about the various parts and their functions. It's been wonderful to see their creativity and engagement, and I look forward to all the learning ahead.
That's awesome.
And this is Miss Lee in grade 7. Oh, they already did this. They already did their door contest.
They're ready.
Favorite books. Wow.
They are ready.
Very nice. And then this was fun. Working on skills is much more fun when writing on the desk with the diaries, of course. Oh, but she did have, I wonder if it's in another slide. She did have them, a picture of them drawing like
I know.
Michelangelo.
That was,
see it?
that was
They were
cool.
lying on the floor and drawing on their desks and from underneath there.
I'm walking, I'm like at the other end past 6th grade, so way at the other end of the hallway, and it's just loud coming out of her room. So I'm like, okay, gotta go check. So they're all lying on their floor with their feet up, painting on the bottom of it, and having the best time.
Mhm.
Just noisy.
Just noisy. And I think this is the last slide. There's Miss Claire and her hand workers. Look at those mushrooms, needle felted. That is so hard to do. And there's first grade knitting with Miss Shawn. And the fifth graders made their own hats.
I'm so impressed first graders could knit.
Did they knit their
I
own
have
flute case in
started
grade 1?
About 10 socks.
No, they do the
I can
Oh,
knit.
Yeah,
the
the
chicken.
chicken
That's a
and
ball.
the bunny.
and the
Oh,
bunny.
the bunny. Mhm.
I think I could do the chicken if I really tried.
I did do the chicken. That's all I've been able to
One of
accomplish.
these days, I have to try and do a chicken.
That is the last slide I have.
All righty, thank you.
Thanks for
That
this.
was very nice.
Thank you.
Keys for that little.
And it's okay to say we love the slides. Please,
We
teachers,
love the
add the
slides.
slides. When Cheryl
Yeah.
says add a slide, please do.
We
We
very
really-
much enjoy it.
We have it on
That's my
tape
favorite part.
and we'll replay how important it is, how
Yeah.
much we love the slides. We
Yeah.
also like to use the slideshows to post on the website.
Yeah.
So when they're big and full and there's a lot, it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice.
very
to-
attractive for the
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
big part of the teachers.
Okay, okay.
Please, please, please.
Thank you. Item 3. Item 4, business. We have 4.1 school enrollment.
Yeah, so we ended, I'm looking through reports. Sorry, I don't have anything on paper for you. We've been working on report cards. So those became first and this report didn't get done. We are running at about 223. We went from, there were 224 up to 227 and then back down to 223 during the month of January. Our attendance is approximately 91, a little over 91% right now. We are currently working on enrollments for next year, having some good tours, good numbers for kindergarten, so we're very hopeful. I also was working, Karen has done exit surveys, and I was working on a report for you on that. Thought I had it all done, and then Karen said, "Did you remember?" And I didn't. So therefore, what was done at 5:00 today is not done at 6. So what we're doing is taking the comments that were made from students that left, both positive and negative, and trying to depersonalize it. So like one person might have 4 reasons that they're showing as to why they're leaving. So trying to say, okay, here are, 5 people are leaving because of location, which is they either moved or just decided the transportation was too much. So trying to summarize that instead of having, well, we moved to Orville. Well, we decided to move, we decided that the drive was too much. Because that's the details that we're reading through. And it's like, well, let's just say these many people left because of location. This number of people left because they wanted a more rigorous education. This number of people were concerned with the behaviors they were seeing. So that's what we're doing, rather to try to focus on what we need to work on to change rather than the individual story of each parent. So
Trying to summarize and generalize as best we can while keeping it still accurate data
yeah.
without it showing who it is. Because we would all be able to identify easily potentially.
potential.
Right.
Yeah, if you knew the 4 reasons and you knew the person, you would say, oh, I remember having that conversation with that person, and then that also keeps us from being both negatively or positively charged with, oh, I know who that is. Well, so let's just be real. So that will be available for you next month.
All right.
So we're that close. I was like, okay, I got this. And then Karen came by and said, well, did you remember? And I had forgotten. So
All right.
I'll go back and pull that.
I have a question, and it might be redundant to one that's been asked before, but is there any way to be in touch with Chico Transportation to try to help with getting kids out? That's going to be a different end of town for some people, and hopefully it's exciting. It's a new school, and I'm sure there'll be some people in that area, but there may be people from this end of town who would want to go there, and can it be could they at least be asked the question and start thinking about how students could get across town to the new school?
Yeah, so a couple things come up. As we do the tours, I'm having more and more parents saying, well, we live over there. So especially the kindergarten parents, we live over there. So we're excited that you're going to be moving over towards us. We, had a conversation with a Paradise parent this morning saying, yeah, we'll cut her commute quite a bit.
Yeah.
So there are those things going on. People are thinking about it. We are also working on funding for a van so that we could help with that transportation for families that can't get from here to
Electric,
there.
is it maybe?
Well, it'll be a van, and that'll be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Just
And if we could get an
Ask for the
electric
moon, you might
one,
get it.
that would be, yeah, but we're working on a transportation process. And then, yeah, we are talking to families as it comes up from here. And when we're talking about moving, first I'm saying, we don't know exactly when we're going yet, so please don't move now. Give us,
Yeah.
an opportunity to make those changes and get those things started and supported.
So another concern, maybe to get ahead of way out as much as possible, is bicycle safety. I notice a lot of kids in that area ride their bicycles to Marsh and then also down to I can't remember the name of the school, but the one kind of near the nature center. And so just ensuring bicycle safety, I don't know if they factored that all in. And Bruce is a very, very busy road, And then the other thing is maybe an exploration of walking school buses. I'm sure you've heard of those.
No, I haven't heard
I
those.
haven't heard of
A
that.
route is designed, a route with, times like Ryan will be at your house at such and such a time. And then, and there's an adult, but it can fit in with physical activity goals for the kids. But it's, and the way I've heard it described is a walking school bus route,
I like that idea.
Same.
So the kids aren't supervised, they're.
Right, so you're
they're
just
not-
walking through the neighborhood
Yeah,
and
you're
people
walking through the neighborhood,
say,
but
we'll be here at
with a
7.
responsible
you know,
adult.
30,
who probably has a cell
yeah.
phone and,
Mhm.
No, I just think that would be great.
Yeah.
There's those apartments going in. Filled with children.
When I was doing the school site survey, there was, I want to say a handful of parents that brought concerns about that to my attention. And then 3 of them, if I'm recalling, actually circled back around with me and said, oh, it's actually going to work out better. So that was one of the questions, if I'm not mistaken, about do you have concerns about transportation to and from the new school? And so I can look back at that data too, and for you guys, but
yeah.
we're also getting ready to do another survey.
Yeah, got it.
Well, and there's some good stuff on walking.
Yeah, I
school.
read that.
That's the description I've heard is walking school buses.
I love that concept because
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's,
Yeah, because
yeah,
you
I
don't
love
want a
that concept.
first grader cruising off to school by himself.
Yeah.
We did it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
It's so true.
2 miles to and from the bus stop. Oh.
Okay, all right, that's called the bird walk, way off base. All right, moving on to item 5. Governance. Item 5.1, director evaluation, that's mine. We added one more sub-goal to the evaluation. That was that Susan would spend 3 hours per week in the classroom. In a classroom.
Did that and more
in
yesterday.
classrooms.
We had that, is this from our meeting that we had, and it seems like it was just forever ago?
Yes, it
Okay.
was just forever ago, and Susan and I couldn't remember it, and then Susan remembered it. Yeah, but we put that as one of her goals, and so that's on there also.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing there is to say about that.
Do we have all the goals in one spot now?
Yes, they're a document.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know we
But-
went through and had that meeting and
We
came up
did?
with that. I think you were.
I was
gone.
not there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what at all you're
Yeah.
talking about.
And we
Okay.
came up with the goals, like,
I
so then it
don't-
was easier when we do the evaluation to say these were the goals,
Yeah.
like that was the
Do you
point.
have a
It also
document?
really fits
I never
the
got one.
contract.
It did.
It stopped at me. It's my
Okay.
fault. I've got it. I'll get that to you, all the goals. And we're gonna visit that in May.
Okay. So the document that you shared to me, there were a couple of concerns that I had that I wanted to share.
Good.
One was that I would have,
Is the document, sorry, just, is it the new evaluation template or
it's just a document or an email that Vicky shared with the goal
the goals?
of the
Okay.
continuous improvement practices addressing behavior through continuous improvement.
Yeah, okay.
Then there were things that came back up that were like a 20% reduction in behavior this year. And first of all, seeing that in February is kind of like, but it's also not achievable. And so that we really didn't talk about that. And so I wanted to talk about it here. Because of where we are in the continuous improvement process. We are, the team came back from MTSS last year, and one of the things that was brought to us was the educator's handbook, which is what you're seeing the data out of now. So our first year, we were very limited in how we used it and not consistent. So we went through at the beginning of this year and started to really work on the consistency of how we improve it. So, for example, one of the things that we said last year is different teachers were in 23, 24, different teachers were using it in different ways. So this year we brought it together and said, we're going to use it this way. Because of the way we said we were going to use it, which is to document everything, not just sometimes, but always document everything. So we have a record of it, whether you've decided it's important for any level 2s or 3s. Even if you think it's not that important and you're not going to talk to the parents about it, we still want it recorded. And so just in that, our measurement is now, yet I'm giving you this report on a regular basis that we're actually down a little bit, but that's also based on the fact that we committed to increasing the number of referrals that we wrote up in that process. So when you're doing, so for continuous improvement, it's like you have to have a baseline. And if our baseline is that last year, we should not expect a significant decrease in those referrals because we weren't reporting everything last year. So I hope I'm explaining myself
You
well.
changed your protocol.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
said-
no
thank
longer-
you. Yeah,
You're
so
establishing baseline this year.
yeah, so establishing a new baseline this year.
Okay.
So therefore, even though we are down, that is an unexpected consequence to the fact that we said we're going to report everything. So and so right now, for me, the continuous improvement on that is really establishing that consistency throughout the school. And then beginning to look at what we're doing, which is what we're doing now, beginning to look at what's coming up at Educator's Handbook. In the last two, we'll do that report later, but the last two times we've seen that classroom disruptions were the biggest area of minor referrals. So that is an entire change from before we started using Educator's Handbook, because I was always told, oh, we're fine in the classroom. It's when they go out to the playground that's the problem. And then they get, in fights out there and so on. And so now what we're seeing is actually, no, whatever is happening is at least starting in the classroom. And that's our major area. So that's what we need to, as a school, focus on, is how do we bring down classroom disruptions. And by focusing on that, then we will get fewer students that escalate to the point of needing to be suspended. That's the statistics. So right now, our focus on continuous improvement is consistency with Educator's Handbook and focusing on the classroom disruptions, and then defiance is another area. So those are issues that sometimes are connected to students escalating in the process of verbal de-escalation. So we brought up, so last week, after looking at all that, I brought back up our de-escalation training from 2022 and reminded everybody of where the information was, because I had to find it. So I'm thinking that teachers probably couldn't find it either. And so bringing that back up and make sure that's connected in a way that people can find it easily and be reminded on their own when they are able to study it. So for me right now, continuous improvement is the solidifying of the reporting structure so that we can now look at it. And so, and also the ability to be trained on using it. I had a aide stop me in the hall yesterday and say, oh, wait, I can't get this to work. Can you show me how to work it? So here's someone that hasn't really been reporting as much as they could have, because they get stuck when they get to the technology. I think we've all experienced that. So getting through those kind of glitches and getting that consistency and people comfortable and knowing, we figured out last month how to have, Karen and I, through the behavior team, we can have, if somebody has 6 or more referrals at any level, I get a notice, email, in fact, even on my watch sometimes. So this person who is on your roster for 6 or more has another referral, and most of the time they're minors, but it's just good to know, oh, okay, this student is continuing to have concerns, others are not. So I know basically hourly in fact, as soon as the teacher puts it in Educator's Handbook, I get a notice of it.
It helps to paint the pattern. It helps us identify the patterns. It helps us to see who's falling off, who's improving. And we're also using it now for our positive feedback and tracking. So there's just a lot of components to that software that we didn't know about until this year. So I'm super excited about it. But yeah, I think it'll be better. We have a full year.
So I don't see us reducing by 20% the referrals.
Well, also, just the population could affect that too. Like, we're not in control of which students come here necessarily.
Right.
So how can you guarantee that behaviors will decrease?
Well, I don't think we're looking for a guarantee, but we're looking for working towards making a system that trends that way.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
Well, it would
generally
just, it would
speaking,
result in people, if you wanted to achieve that goal, it would result in people not entering things because you wanted to achieve the goal. Like,
And
it's
that's
only
as
effective as the people entering.
yeah. So that has come up before. It's like, oh, you don't want suspensions. You don't want to suspend people because you don't want the count to go up, which is not valid from my perspective. Because but it is something that comes up. Oh, well, we just won't enter in. So encouraging people to see the results of good data is where I am right now. If we
Right.
have good data,
Well, we have
we
to
can
know.
make positive changes.
Yeah, exactly.
If we hide data, we
You're
just
in
We
the
don't
end
know
up.
we don't know what it is.
Yeah, if we hide data, then we still don't know. Like I said, with the classroom disruptions, I've been here for years, and it's always been, oh, we're fine in the classroom, and then
One
now the
question
data shows something
I'd have
different.
about, around discipline and student behavior is, it can reveal a lot of things about students, but sometimes it reveals a hair-triggered staff person, or in some cases, a staff person who's undergoing a lot of stress. I've seen that happen where somebody has something going on in their life, which all of us do sometimes. There's no blame there, but sometimes it affects their ability to discern student misbehavior with typical okay kid behavior. Just throwing that out there.
Well, the establishing the baseline is the necessary first step to identifying when that's going on.
Right.
Identifying your frequent flyers. So I think that getting the data consistently entered and building a sense of, we're gonna report this.
And consistency.
Regardless and consistently, so that we can make changes is
And I guess
a fine goal for this year.
I'm saying too, sometimes some attention, it's worth paying some attention to who's reporting what and the frequency and, yeah.
Yeah, and once we have
I was
baseline,
gonna
we
say,
can do
that's what
that.
this will do, will show us that.
And
too.
that's, Educator's Handbook also shows us who's doing what referrals. So, people tend towards certain things. So one will say defiance, the other will say lack of compliance, another one will say classroom disruption. They're all talking about the same
Failure to
thing.
comply.
So,
Yeah.
they're all talking about basically the same thing in different ways. So that
Yeah.
will be that's part of our discussion now too, is like,
Yeah.
how do you, and we're writing out definitions now. We've
Yeah.
added more things to it. We're making adjustments.
Right.
And now we're going through and one of the staff is going to define everything. So that you don't say defiance when it's really classroom disruption or
Yeah.
the other way. So we have that clarifying. We're also going through, we had a lot of others, like,
Yeah.
the second reason that people were referred was other. So we're going through other and
We have
saying,
to read through all of those.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh,
yeah,
my.
you're going through other and saying, okay, that's actually dress code. So, we'll make sure that's clear, those sorts of things. So doing that kind of work on the
Staff side of things too,
staff
or
side,
training them, yeah.
uh-huh. And then, working with them on, how come, do I have any students? I had one teacher say, I don't know if I have any students I don't do classroom disruption. I don't have any that come up, but is it coming up? So showing that teacher how to see where maybe some of her students are having problems in specialties.
Right.
So those sorts of things going on. And so that work of kind of getting on the same train
Yep.
going
Communication
forward
tools.
Yeah.
is what really we're working on this year. And we are seeing a reduction in behaviors, down 20%.
It sounds like a great tool.
It is a great tool.
Yeah.
Thank you
So-
for MTSS for
That
sharing that with us.
you said we're reporting more, so it's hard to see a reduction, but we're seeing a reduction.
Yeah.
So, can you explain that? Like how?
Still
So our
is a
actual
reduction.
numbers are down, but not by much. So when you look at the report that I've given you, we'll look at that a little later, I think. We are down, adjusted for the reduced enrollment, we're down like 1.2%.
Okay.
So we are down, even though we're
But
hopefully
you're saying the
reporting
number
more.
is higher because we're telling people you need to report it
Yes,
more.
we're
It might be
saying
higher than
report,
otherwise.
yeah, it might be higher than last year.
And that's just a
Because
guess that people are
that's-
reporting more than they did last year.
No,
We don't
probably
They are.
see that
We
there are
confirmed
more.
it with the
They're-
staff too.
Well, but
We
there's
can't-
if there's more reports, doesn't necessarily mean because they weren't reporting last year. Could be there's just more
Yeah.
reports
Well,
too,
it's,
right?
it's, you have
There
to,
was a
it's
lack
so
of
hard to be
documentation last year.
objective.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is humans
Yeah.
working here,
Yeah.
and we're trying to get data out of humans, and
We were like,
not everybody is entering their
Their-
behaviors that are happening every day.
so the thing
for
that I know that I
different
am doing
reasons.
is, because that is, it's like,
Yeah.
the teacher will come at the end of the day and go, I'm exhausted and I
Yeah.
forgot. And so I,
Yeah.
So what I know that I am doing is if I hear a story that I don't see documented,
Mhm.
then I go and say, if that happened, it didn't happen unless it went in the educator's handbook.
Yeah.
So because I don't want to hear a rumor about this terrible student who did these awful things.
Yeah.
And then I don't have it in the educator's handbook.
Yeah.
So I know that we are working hard as a team to collect the data, because what I'm also telling them, and I've told them before, but they seem to be hearing it this year, is when it comes to me and you're asking me for a suspension, or you think a student needs to be suspended, this is a legal act. This is something I have to defend in court.
Mhm.
Can I defend based on what you've said? Can I defend this
Yeah.
in court? So a student sent to me with a level 3 because they had their ear pods in and weren't supposed to. That's not a level 3. I need to send that back and say, that's not something they may have been defiant and not doing what they're supposed to do,
Mhm.
but I can't suspend them for that.
Yeah.
That's not something I can address at this level. I can have a nice talk with them. We can look at a behavior plan.
Is there
or
something if that happened multiple times, then it can escalate?
It cannot escalate to a
Okay.
suspension ever.
I was just
At all.
wondering if having that like encouraging them, like if you were putting it in there for like a paper trail.
Yeah,
A level 2 can a level 1 can escalate to a level 2.
Okay.
And then if it happens a few times, and
They
2
can
can go to
escalate.
3.
yeah.
Okay.
So it
Well,
does
Tricia,
escalate
They
to,
can escalate even from a 2 to a 3 or stay on
Well, I'm
3.
just saying, like, to
but some
encourage
things are not
them
suspendable.
And yeah, sure, encouraging them to put it in, like if they had so many for the same thing, then it
yeah,
will start.
we had one saying a certain word for 45 minutes
Repeatedly.
repeatedly last couple of weeks ago.
Was
Yeah.
it
And I've said,
a swear?
no, it wasn't a bad word. It was just like
Certain-
disrupt the
just disrupt-
situation.
Yeah.
And so that particular student did get sent to talk to the office about it.
Yeah.
But it's not something I'm going to suspend that student for.
Yeah.
So that's the, that's.
Yeah. No, and I
The
get
kind
that.
of
I was just
discussions we're
wondering.
having.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
As an
Yeah.
There's still
So-
an accountability piece, right?
Sure.
The expectation for teachers and for staff, but they also deserve, and we are providing proper training.
Yeah.
So making sure they have all the information and tools they need in order to do what it is we're asking them to do, which is document.
And this is year 2 with Educators Handbook.
Mhm.
And
But it
just,
feels like year 1 for most of me in my mind, because we're using it now to its real capacity.
I was gonna say, and we deal with such diversity in home lives too. I mean, I can remember having students that you knew when it was time to listen if somebody yelled at you. And-
Like when we were growing up.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah, the
that's the
teacher, yeah.
trigger for like, okay, time to listen. And so I mean, they come from very different styles
Background, but-
of discipline.
So,
So we need to rework that goal.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the reduction in, so
So does that
reworking
need to be
that.
on the
20%.
agenda for next month?
Yeah,
so
probably.
we can rework it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other thing is that the major training that we had for this year is Spencer with Healthy Play, and you asked me to have that done by March. He's coming April 17th because he couldn't come in January. So that will be done by the end of April.
Goal of what? Bringing in Spencer?
Bringing,
Bringing in-
it was a professional development
Yeah,
consideration for behavior. And that's the Healthy Play.
and then we'll just resend the goals because I'm fuzzy on it.
Okay,
It's
I
been a
will,
while.
locate those goals.
All right.
I can't believe it was just January. I feel like it was like October that we did
So,
Right.
we were
supposed
to do it in
Maybe that's what it was.
Or actually,
For a
I think we
month.
were supposed to be doing it before.
Yeah.
Yes, so we'll be redoing it, I think in April.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
All right.
better sense.
Sorry, would it be helpful though if it sounds like you have ideas about what would be achievable goals on that track?
Yeah, I do.
Could you feedback
I sure can.
before that planning?
Yeah, I sure can.
Right.
And we did do that meeting all together, right?
Yeah, I just guess I just want,
You
Yeah,
were,
you
that was
were
the one
absent.
meeting you missed.
Right.
You missed January?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
that was the.
So see, it really was January.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel like it was not January.
So I will do that. I'll also
January 2022.
talk about, I mean, there's a certain level, like when you're talking about PD, I'm planning the professional development for next year. I really will have to have done in March or I won't have any professional development trainers. So it's that sort of thing. So we do that in the spring for the
So we
fall.
really need to be having that meeting in March if we're doing this,
I
if
thought we
we're
were
setting it? Like you're saying,
Well, you establish goals for me for this year that I'm like, well,
well, we really need to be establishing the goals for next year though,
so
by
you,
August or September.
yeah, so we could have a discussion about what the goals, what's reasonable for next year in March of this year. And
Yeah.
so then when you actually do my goals, you'll have that information, like what we do as a
Uh-huh.
school to do a professional development plan.
Yeah.
And, that sort of thing.
That's a
We're
good
doing.
I feel like we just need to leave that on the agenda for now.
Right.
Okay, yeah, and that's fine.
So we
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
just,
we'll
like, it's sitting, it's already February.
I know.
So, well, it's almost March. Let's talk about it.
So-
Yeah, give it a day or two.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
And Finance Committee report, Ryan?
Sure, this finance committee meeting was pretty short. It was a really short agenda. We talked about the California Community School Partnership Grant. And which was applied for, right? That's actually been submitted at this point. And in theory, if we receive it, that kind of gives us a 5-year runway to continue Karen's position and all the.
Oh, it's a 5-year
Yeah,
grant?
yeah.
Because it wasn't, was it 5 years this last time?
It was 2.
It was
Yeah.
2
I
years.
applied last year and we didn't get it. That was for 5 years. But the planning grant that we did receive in 23, 24 is 2-year grant, which
Okay.
expires or runs out at the end of this year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is applied for, and fingers crossed. there.
Yes.
Let's see. We had a chat on new school site, but I'm sure we'll chat here. The other thing I wanted to raise a little flag on is we did pass on the numbers for you all to see, but weren't able to connect with Annie in that meeting. So we've all seen them. We've not had a very knowledgeable person to explain them to us. Nothing seemed completely out of the ordinary, but we wanted to pass it on with that caveat.
Okay.
We mostly understand what we're looking at.
Okay.
So other than our just normal business, those were the standout items.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
And
What's Annie's title?
That is a great question. Accountant.
She's the
Lead.
director of finance.
She's a
at Charter.
director of finance.
Is
Yeah,
she our CBO or?
basically.
All righty.
so when are we starting budget talks?
You mean for next year?
Yeah.
They exist already.
Okay.
Like a friend.
Very
Somewhat.
preliminary.
Yeah, preliminary state. In fact,
I know it's hard because we don't have all the numbers, but like I feel like
but I actually feel like the documents you get in
Yeah.
the packet does list the next 2 years at least.
it does.
Yeah, so you're kind of already seeing it.
Yeah.
I just
It
wanted
was
to
just
add
such a
that with
big
the exception
discussion
if we
last
get
year
the
that-
implementation grant, then we'll find out for the decision on that in May.
Yeah, it seems to me the reality is there's never like a good date to start talking about it because it's never ever set. Anything could happen, and as we're experiencing, it often does happen. Suddenly now the IRS is going to give us money, but then maybe next week there will be no IRS. So who knows?
But we've gotten one payment from them, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we actually do expect, and Annie expects us to continue to receive it.
Yeah.
But what is that based on? Yeah,
Based
the
on fact
past
that
being
other
an
people are
indicator of the
getting it.
future, that's crazy talk.
Well, and it's owed to us. Like
Yes.
we have, when it will come. It's
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So
No longer.
I think that the kind of like almost doom and gloom planning could start at any time.
Wow.
But it may not be appropriate to spend much time on it because really like the IRS money represents a very large chunk.
It does.
The reduction in rent when we move represents an enormous chunk. We might not be in that dire of a sort of.
None of that's gonna happen for next year. Maybe
Well,
the
IRS is
IRS.
happening
The
now.
IRS will.
Yeah,
but
IRS is happening now. Maybe she'll get a very large grant, like.
Yeah, but we don't know that till May. And when do all of like the commitments? Like I know March we start doing for students. Are you coming back, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's why I was
we've already done-
asking.
We're already doing kindergarten now.
Yeah.
For new enrollments and continuing enrollments. And now that we have TK, continuing enrollment is a much bigger piece.
Yeah.
So we're doing that right now as we speak. And so, yeah, March will be more of the intent to returns. We also do that with staff I'm supposed to get that letter out yesterday. That says, are you, intending to come back?
Okay, so that also is
piece-
like a March.
That's a March
Okay.
thing.
Like I feel like that's kind of the first phase to then
Yeah.
the budget. Got it. Okay.
And the budget is due in June, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have an idea of how accurate that is? What students and families will say
Versus
their
what
intention
happens.
is to the actual enrollment when school starts?
It's about 90% accurate
It's pretty good.
Okay.
overall. I mean, yeah. We run about 90% of accurate over the years.
That's pretty good.
I feel like kindergarten or entering school, folks will reach out to more than one school if they can.
Yeah.
And then,
Right,
and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I haven't.
But once they're here,
Once they're here, but just over the summer, Kelly's pretty busy.
yeah.
With ins and outs, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
I need some more chocolate on that.
Susan, does that feel like an accurate answer about when do we start budgeting for next year, for the big drop next year?
So when did we do it? We did May this year, so it would be
Felt like
April
earlier.
when we really
Yeah, or, I
tried
mean,
to.
there really isn't a reason to not start now, except that we're trying to do many other things. But also, it
Yeah, we're
just seems
trying to
like
get
it's
you
so
some real and
volatile.
accurate numbers.
Yeah.
It is volatile. It's a volatile world, so, yeah. Um, We could do it in April instead of May possibly, but we probably can't do it any earlier than that. We could have special meetings so that we would have as long a meeting as we could do that. But let's talk about that at finance.
Does the actual money happen in finance?
Overall, yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that the charter council does is when it affects personnel.
Yeah,
So because the finance committee does not cut personnel.
but it's not something that you and Annie do and then present to finance. It's something that finance does.
No, Annie and last year.
Annie and I present what the options are
Okay.
and what, and if it's a simple budget and we don't have any cuts and it's nice and rosy, it's pretty much, this is what we think should happen with, as many questions as you have,
Yeah.
and adjustments, but yeah.
Okay.
But you do, we do go down all of those numbers. A lot of the numbers that come in are based on this year's numbers are just rolled into next year's numbers. So then we're really, if we go and say, well, why is this bill so high? Why do we have so much? And then, can we cut more in materials and supplies? Those sorts of things would be questions for the finance committee to ask. And Annie runs all the numbers for that. So
Okay.
asking her, she can run numbers and get back to us.
Okay, I'll take a note to just kind of keep it on our minds for April then.
Okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
Sure, thanks for the question.
Still traumatized. So.
I know, it just occurred,
A lot
occurs
of
to me that
people.
I've actually never seen this process we're talking about, but you have.
Oh, eliminating.
Last year.
Or just even doing the budget. I just haven't been on that committee.
You haven't done the
Yeah.
budget yet, yeah.
Yeah.
And last year was, yeah, you noticed she
I
ran
saw
off
the
to get off.
output. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the hard work.
Okay, moving on to 5.3. Parent council report.
It's,
I don't have somebody.
No.
So, well,
Susan?
Michelle is here,
Well, we
but
have
I'll do the
Michelle, but I don't
report
know.
for her.
Yeah, maybe she wants to.
Hi,
Hi.
Hi.
I'm here for parent council, but I didn't know that I was making a report for parent council. I'm just taking notes to take back to parent council, but yeah, first day here. I feel
Yeah,
like
no, I'm glad to report out for you. I just am acknowledging that the parent council has selected members to attend various meetings. So then they can now report back for themselves, which I'm thrilled for. So that's great. A parent council is continuing to work through right now they're working on Oakenlands. We're talking about Mayfair and the donation process. They've taken over a big level of support for the dances to make sure they are done well in consistency as a community action rather than primarily a fundraiser. So we're really pleased with that. We've seen, I have seen such a fluctuation in that dances, as different seventh grade classes move through, and one has 20 parents that are volunteering and the next one has 2, so that sense that the charter council or the parent council is going to take that on is big. I think their biggest project right now is working on the Oakenlands. It's set for April. The flyers are up and they are working on donations and so forth for that. So if you have anybody who wants to donate,
Donations.
this would be a great time for that.
Can we ask what kind of donations?
You may
Like
ask
sponsors.
Michelle if she has an answer for you.
sure I do. We're doing the silent auction, so donations that would be appealing for a silent auction are welcome. Donations or sponsors from businesses that might want to contribute and be featured on some level of advertisements. Maybe Ryan could speak to that a little. I don't know. This is the first year that I'll have been here for that, and our second year doing this event. But yeah.
Are we still doing 21 and over?
It is 21 and over. The ticket prices are $25 this time because we're not offering a meal with this concert, but we are working on having some like a food truck, one food truck there, maybe two, but one food truck that folks could purchase something to eat if they'd like. And there'll be like, like bar snacks probably inside, like pretzels and peanuts type thing. I think.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Michelle.
And where is it?
It'll be at the women's,
The women's club.
club, yeah.
It was really nice last year.
It was.
It was a lot of fun.
All right, moving on to item 5.4. Go Trish.
Okay. So I don't remember the last time that I reported where we were at. So we've met with Kevin from RGA a few different times. Have I given you guys any cost? Have we gone over any cost or square footage stuff at the board yet? Do you remember if we've
I
done
don't
that?
think we have.
I feel like I don't know where the meetings are. Okay. So RGA has been working on something called spatial requirements, which is what's the square footage of each room within the new site, right? Like, so how big is the electrical closet? How many square feet is the classroom? How many square feet is the conference room? So like detail to that level of detail. So we've had a couple meetings with him. We had our first preliminary meeting. We made some changes. Said, no, we don't want that. Yes, we want this. Combine these two, get rid of that, add this kind of stuff. They came back for a second meeting, which we had on February 11th. So we're sitting right around 45,000 square feet for a building. Is going to need to be 2 stories, which we call kind of expected, right? Given our acreage that we have there. With a 45 square foot 2-story building, that leaves us around 41,000 square feet of outdoor space, outdoor play space to, design as we need, which RGA feels, and parking, right? So parking, drop off, all of that.
Yeah.
He feels like that's a good amount of space that we can make happen what we want.
So the building is 4,000?
45,000,
The building is
The building.
45? And then how much for the outside?
about 41,000.
Oh, okay.
about
So that's
similar.
Additional.
Yeah, 41,000 outdoor space would be left after that. And that parking will take up some of that. No, that's not true.
Okay.
Let me read my notes. 41,810 square feet for outdoor play space after having parking and drop off and pickup. So that is just outdoor
Just
play.
play space.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just kid space.
That's
not
just kids
car
space. Exactly. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
How does it compare to this? I just don't understand.
This is 4 acres, right? This building is just under 50,000
Okay, thank you.
square feet.
Okay.
So this building is about 48,000 square feet, I think, roughly, right? But it's single story. So let's say, right, so we have double the amount of land. So we're gonna have similar amount of land because we're gonna be double story. That's my rough math in my head that I just did.
But when you give us the square footage of building, you're talking about footprint on the lot,
No.
not actual square.
Actual square footage, 45,000
That's
is
So we'll
what
have
it is.
less building there than we do here. Oh, which we want because we don't use this whole thing.
It's
Right.
gonna be similar, actually.
Oh,
It's just laid out, because we're about 48,000 here.
45,
RGA's were
yeah.
45,000. I mean, so
It's like one room.
a few thousand square
But
feet
it'll
less,
Yeah.
be stacked.
but it will be stacked.
So
So
it'll
our
take
footprint is more like 23,000
Right.
Which
square
allows
feet.
us to
I'm gonna
have
go
more
get that
space.
map. I'll be right back.
Oh,
I have
okay, so I
solid
have it right
remember
here. I might have it.
Just that simple thing.
Yeah. I have it right here. Okay. Okay.
That's gonna help.
Okay, so
Do you want me to shoot something?
okay. So
Oh, wait.
this is Bruce Road. This is Apodaca, which makes me think of that song that's so popular, that Apodaca. Anybody know that? Nobody has this. A 6th grader, that's the song I always think of.
APT.
Okay, Bruce.
Okay. This is the build. This is
Well,
not.
so wait a minute. So this is how I
Turn it, yeah.
You need it to be
how
this
I
way?
think.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not-
okay.
Okay. This is Bruce. Okay.
Yes.
This is not necessarily the layout, but just to give you, this would be the building, right? So on the corner of Bruce, trying to keep the kids and the play area not on the busy road, right? This is the bike path and the creek area, right? So this would be the play area. This would be drop off, pickup and parking over here on this end. So this will be the area that Merriam Park is producing for the park, like their like open park area.
Yeah.
Too. So does that help?
It's totally helpful. And you said, and that's like, that is a footprint, but not the footprint, is what you said?
Yeah, this is, we're not at design.
Okay.
That's
At all.
That's a potential. It's just to show you how
How
the
it would
building
lay out.
The
would.
green is
Sit
the
on.
Green
Yeah,
is
this-
play,
it's not-
dark,
the
the
building.
charcoal is the building, this is parking.
Can we plant ivy on it?
Yeah, so, so yeah, so that is kind of, I can pass it if you guys wanna, yeah, see, good idea. So with all of that, they're working on the final cost estimates. It looks like March 4th is the next meeting date that Kevin
I
emailed
think
me back
so,
today.
yeah.
Much for it.
But our cost estimates are about 25 to 30 million dollars. Okay. And that is just building cost, right? So it's not what they call soft costs, like furniture and all of the other things that need to go into the
No,
building,
it's not.
right? That's hard costs.
But some things would be from here, right?
Sure.
Pardon?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the building part. Anybody have any questions yet? Before I go into like propositions and funding and which I don't have a whole
What
lot
was
of
the
answers.
date of the next meeting? 5th?
I think it's the 4th. Let me look. Kevin emailed me back today.
It's the 4th. It's the same day as the
Tuesday.
council meeting.
6 p.m.
Oh, no. So I said the 4th was parent council. So he can maybe do the 4th. I don't know, doing it at 4 o'clock is going to work. So he wants to do it during business hours. I don't know how that's going to work with the rest of the committee. So we're going
Good point.
to have to figure
We
that out.
have some work to do.
So sometime that week is our next meeting to really finalize, like the cost estimators are doing the final numbers of this is how much this would cost, right? Roughly, because we don't have a design, right? But, but I think pretty accurately. Okay, so
Sorry. Is there napkin math on top of this? Is it another $10,000?
There's
me
not
pull up-
napkin.
No.
We
There's
have, he
no
hasn't,
guess.
we
he
haven't
hasn't
gotten
given
there.
us
Oh,
that.
On
We-
soft costs?
yeah, because if that's
Isn't
just
this-
an empty building.
This is hard. Soft cost
Yeah.
is like
Oh,
desks and,
on hard
yeah.
costs. Okay.
No, there's nothing.
I thought
that we've
desks
got. I'm
were
sure
hard.
he does know that.
Yeah, but
we
he doesn't
just-
want to put it in writing.
Well, we just haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
He's worried we're gonna freak out with this. So he's not giving
Yeah.
us any more information.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That's
And
more than we want.
And we did.
And we did forget.
And we
We
did.
did figure
The
out.
budget.
Okay, so that is more than we all expected,
Yeah.
right? One of his numbers he gave us was right, like 2 years ago, a plumber in the union was making, what did he say, like $30 an hour, and now it's 60.
80,
Yeah, like
No, it's 80.
80
something like
$80 an hour, right?
It's
Like that-
crazy.
that's how
Crazy.
much the wages. So when you look at when we were thinking 12 million and now it's more than double, like that,
Yeah.
that's up, right?
It's all those costs that are going up right now.
So, because we are using public funds, we have to do prevailing wage.
Oh.
So, that's something that we keep talking about, right? I really don't know a way around not using, right, the met measures and the
We
prop
can't,
positions and measure, like, hey, like, it's just not possible, right? So it adds a substantial cost to building it. What do you say, 10 to 15%, right? I think. But there, I don't think that there's, the facilities committee and everybody doesn't think there's a way around that. So it kind of just is what it is.
That's a lot of
And,
money, too.
and we're now on an actual piece of property that's owned by the district. So that
Yeah.
changes a lot of things too.
Yeah.
So that, so that all of those changes have developed with, and overall, mostly it's positive, except that we have to pay prevailing wage. And I'm not sure that I am totally opposed to paying prevailing wage
Yeah.
anyway.
Right. It's
Right.
one of those
Because
things
a
that
labor is
morally-
worthy of his hire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Um,
that's where we are.
So we have Measure C, right, which is what our local bond measure that passed. The district is working on finalizing what that application process is looking like. I think we should have that soon, right? What that is.
Can that be used for the new one? I thought that was for only like for our current place for remodeling.
No, Measure C
Oh,
can
sweet.
be, yeah. So we do have some funding, right, that was already allocated specifically for us. And then there's a pot of money, I think we talked about this, right, that we can apply for. And then there's Prop 2, which is the state funds, right, that also passed. That is a matching proposition. So any money that we match, so we can use Measure K and Measure C as our match. So going into the state application process is a whole nother application, and it is something that the district is helping us kind of figure out if we're even going to be able to qualify for that, given the land. So the land has to meet certain requirements for us to even partake in being able to apply for that. So they're going through that investigation now to see if we're going to qualify. If we do, there is extra cost for us to submit all of that, and like and extra time, right, that it would take. But if we get millions of dollars, so kind of we're figuring all of that out. Their application process, they're supposed to be doing a webinar. They said in February.
Did they say February?
But I still have not heard anything, and I keep checking the website. So, and I'm on their mailing list, or their email list. So probably in March, I would guess. And then the other options besides those are, right, the lease option, which Kevin brought up in our meeting again, which is where you have somebody that is building it. They're fronting all the money, right? You're leasing it back to them for 40 years. But then you still have that high payment every month, and you're paying that for 40 years before you own the school, right? And then you have so a lot of that we don't have fleshed out, right? First step is to figure out how much it costs, which is what we're doing now, and then try to get money to pay for it. So
Seems like a good process.
Here we go.
Yeah. When you did get to have the freak out initially,
we all kept our cool pretty well.
Okay.
Inside,
like,
I think
we
were all.
Yeah, one of the deciding factors for him was that it was like, he was kind of like, no problem doing it super cheap and no problem doing it super fast.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's as expensive as the Bay Area guy who are like, no way we're paying that. Like, was there a little conversation about bait and switch?
Not yet, because a lot of the cost is because of what we're asking for.
Totally, right?
And this is stick built.
But he's kind of showing his
Yeah.
butt a little bit in that he had no idea what a building cost when he said a number.
Like in the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that was a
When we
major
were
deciding
interviewing.
factor.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's just a number he made up. That it was not at all reflected
So-
in any sort of reality.
So not in the committee necessarily.
No, again, no, I am not
Well,
suggesting let's start over,
he
but
presented
please,
in
like, say
the
something to this guy. Like,
board.
that sucks.
We don't have the final numbers yet. That's our next meeting.
Yeah, it's gonna be higher. All you have is an empty building.
It came low. It came down lower after our second meeting.
After you said it can't be 40. Yeah, I know.
That sounds like a nice strategy.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about this is stick built. We've talked about modular,
Yeah.
right? And I think some of it is maybe just going to be a reality check of what we can do and what we can't do, right? So
Yeah.
right now we have, this is our whole wish list.
Yeah.
Right? Which.
So like I'm talking to staff a little bit about like, realize every 100 square feet is $80,000.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And and until we went through that meeting, I
Yeah.
didn't have those numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, think about it. Do you really need a 200 square foot, or could you get away with 100 square foot? So some of those discussions we're having, starting to have.
Yeah.
It's like,
But these will be the numbers we will go to the district when we present for our Measure C and Prop 2 if we can.
Which sorry, is Measure C school
The
district
local.
and
Local.
Prop 2 is state?
Yeah. But yeah,
And
you're
Prop 2 is
absolutely
lots
right.
of money.
Right?
Yeah, I don't like that. It creates less trust in
Yeah.
that you know.
Yeah.
you're doing.
I think part of it is the prevailing wage, which isn't a surprise because the districts always said we were going to have to do that.
Yeah.
That wasn't a
Seems like
surprise.
you.
Yeah.
You're like any amount of.
Julie was
Yeah.
clear about that from the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's fine. Now I got to have my feedback.
All right.
Now I'm all caught up to you.
Yeah. So,
Moving on.
and did I miss anything on facilities?
That's it. That's the biggies.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Oh, here, wait, let's see. Conceptual. So the next phase, let's see, we're reaching the end of our first contract with them that we approved. The next will be after we have all these, we'll do kind of a conceptual site plan and so it will be more, it won't be as like rectangles on a piece of paper. Will kind of be the next thing that we get into. But I would really like to figure out some of how we're gonna pay for it before we keep paying money
Yeah.
to RGA. So personally,
Right.
you know, so
Okay.
Do you have his contact?
Okay, moving on.
He's supposed to talk to me. He hasn't.
oh yeah.
That's what we need to put on the agenda. He needs to talk to Cheryl. Either one or we'll bring Cheryl to the meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it would just be about kindergarten
I
or
know.
childhood plan, so.
No, that's I ask him every time to talk to Cheryl.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Thank you. He hasn't.
Okay. So is he supposed to reach out to her directly?
He's supposed to reach out to me.
Okay. So which
Another reason to be irritated.
which days are good for you in times?
Monday, no, not Mondays, Tuesdays or Fridays, actually.
Tuesdays or Fridays after what time?
After 3.
After 3.
She'll get him to talk.
So he'll,
Okay.
He's ignoring me.
All right, we are moving on now
Okay.
to item 5.5.
Okay. Do it, Vicky.
Yeah, community school partnership. Karen, please.
Does anybody have my agenda or my report? So you can see all the prettiness I included.
Was it emailed to us?
I think I sent it to Maggie to upload.
It's in the agenda packet that you guys got, but I'll pull it up. Hang on just a second, my brain.
So while you're pulling that up, I'll start off with the first thing I'm reporting, obviously, that you guys are aware of, is the implementation grant, community school implementation grant, which was written by Susan and myself. We submitted that the last week in January, I believe. No, first week of February. And that has also been uploaded to our website. I included the link if you guys want reading material. It's on our website. I put the link in my report. The next item that I'm working on today, me and Susan actually met with the director of strategic grant making at North Valley Community Foundation. They had opened up the Aaron Rodgers NorCal Fire Recovery Grant, and they gave us some guidelines, obviously, and some requirements for that grant. And there was an option to propose more funding than the initial one that they were offering. They were offering initially $5,000 to $25,000 grant for families who've been impacted by the Camp Fire. And I think she said today they only have about $250,000 left in the allotted funding. So we were initially asking for $50,000, and I was we're both the proposal for transportation. So after meeting with her today, and finding out that there's only $250,000 total for the entire pool of money, we revised our grant application, and I'm submitting that tomorrow. Let's see.
So we revised it to 15,000.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
15,000.
Yeah, 15.
And looking for matching grants,
Correct.
matching funds, which was what her suggestion was. So
Okay.
I think it's nice to work with somebody from an agency that's going to say, well, and try for this, and
Yeah, it gave us
and this
insight.
is what's going to help you get
Right.
it. So both Karen and I feel good about that conversation, and that there's at least some potential for funding from them for our
Good.
transportation needs. So
Yeah.
it's a base We'll have to build on it. Can't buy a grant for $10,000. Buy a van for $10,000. Sorry.
You could buy
But
a
used
van
one.
for $10,000.
yes,
You just
we
don't
could buy
want that
a van,
Yeah.
but not a 12-passenger van for children. So,
Alright.
I can just see Buck now.
Oh, Buck could buy that
Maintaining it.
tonight, no problem.
anyway, so
So the next item is the community engagement, my DEI efforts and family engagement practices this month, where we invited the African American Family Cultural Center from Oroville to come and present at our school assembly on February 20th. And to honor Black History Month, they, I believe they did poetry. I was not here, unfortunately. I was
nice
sick.
twos, yeah.
Yeah, and then they left us wonderful T-shirts for the kids, and so that was good. This morning we actually had donuts with the director. Today's topic was engagement strategies and building stronger school connections. Parents came, we discussed with them what they wanted to see, what they thought would help us with the communication aspect, and we got a lot of good information on volunteer hours, and I created a document to help train people, not only just to teachers, but handing it to teachers and teaching them how to instruct their parents of the classrooms, how to post their volunteer hours. So that was really cool. We have Waldorf Math and Movement.
Sorry.
Yes.
Is it important for us to log our volunteer hours?
I would say so. It's part of our LCAP goals is to be able to measure our improvement in
I don't do it. I haven't done it since.
There's a way to.
Yeah, there is. And
I know.
Cheryl used to remind me,
But
but
how do you
then I
know?
left kindergarten, so.
We're
I
finding a
stopped
lot
doing
of
that.
Cheryl's techniques are very valuable. Well, Cheryl. Oh, okay.
So I created a
Cheryl.
document that will be
Yeah.
sent out, and but it's easy.
I just know I usually meet my hours, so I don't
It's
worry
in
about it.
Parent
But
Square.
if you guys, yeah, it is in Parent Square, you can do it. But I will make sure to do it if it's good for you guys to
Oh,
know.
we're gonna just set it down at the
Okay.
beginning of this meeting, every meeting, and have all of you
Right.
put in your volunteer
Yeah,
hours.
right.
Right
And
there.
I am like the volunteer police now. I like
yeah.
that on campus.
Just a new
If
job.
I see a parent, I'm like, hey, it's so good to see you. Hey,
Okay.
did you know that you?
I
can
will
do that?
pass the word around.
So if you look at the LCAP, one of the
Yeah.
8 areas that we're judged by is our parent involvement.
And if we're not putting it in there, then you.
Then I
I
don't
can't
have
really
it.
measure
We
it without it.
Okay,
we've tracked
I'll
it
do
like last year we tracked it by people signing in.
Yeah, the
So
binder.
if you signed in,
Okay.
we counted you.
Oh,
But that doesn't really count your hours
Hours,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
certainly doesn't count the 3 hours you're spending here in a meeting.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the
It's
time
just-
you're cooking cupcakes to bring to the classroom or for the play or whatever, even things you're doing at home, those things count,
Washing
right?
laundry.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
We had a parent with a really low income who volunteered at the school, and we were able to write her a letter of rec, and she actually got a job.
Yeah.
Because of
I
You know,
love
it's something
to
we
do that.
noted and offered, and we can, she was comfortable, I mean, it was given to her, but noted her appearance, and
That's amazing. Like,
Promptness
she
and-
learned a lot of skills.
yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Karen,
Yes, ma'am.
if you sent us the
Instructions.
directions how to log in our hours. It would help me if I could pass on a note that said how this is so valuable
I can do that.
to families,
I
and
can
then I
do
would just copy all of that and paste it, and it would happen really fast.
Okay.
But if I hem and haw and figure out how to make this eloquent and meaningful,
No, that's
then
great feedback. I can totally do that.
okay, thanks.
I want to make it as easy as possible for everybody. That's why I created.
Yeah,
so-
that helped all the
Get her
the
done.
photos
idea.
and
Let me just make myself a note. Okay. Okay, the next one is also, Waldorf Math and Movement. Part 2 is happening this Thursday night with Catherine Lehman, our Waldorf education mentor. And that's from 5:30 to 7 here, or 5:30 to 7:30 here on site. And I'm working with parent council right now, trying to make sure we can provide childcare services for that, because I know a couple parents that I spoke to said they would love to come, but they need childcare, so that's in the works. And 4th is behavior support. So as you guys know, I'm working with Susan and the team on attending behavior meetings weekly, helping out where needed on the daily for any level 3 behaviors. 5, I've taken over the ELOP program, which is our expanded learning program. So that includes staffing and arranging and offering what we're offering, what different programs we're offering to families for the after school program. With the help of Kelly Sexton, we created, I hope you guys saw it, it's pretty cool, our after school club catalog, which is in the packet. There's 3 pages total. And there's 15 clubs that we are offering currently. And that's for the session 3 that starts this next Monday. And so if you haven't had a chance to look at that. That's in your packet that I sent out. Currently 15 after school clubs are being offered. We have session spring break camp starting on March 17th, and enrollment for that opened up last week. So we're hoping to have at least 40 students for that as well.
Wow.
And that's for the spring break, the full day camps, right? And the theme for that spring break camp is Spring into Adventure. Next is the LCAP goal review. I am working with Susan as well, making sure that all the work that I'm doing is aligning with our goals that we've written out last year. And tomorrow, as a matter of fact, our advisory committee is heading out to Ontario, California for the next 2 days, where we will be reviewing our revised problem of practice, which I also attached here for you guys. My beautiful, our creation, fishbone creation, as well as we finished our driver diagram where we were able to identify our aim statement. And I'll just read to you what the aim statement is. And this takes a lot of work, by the way, getting us to fine tune this and hone in on exactly what we want our measurable goal to be. But by September 2026, Blue Oak Charter School will increase overall student enrollment by at least 5%. Because we're already where we are this year, we wanted to give ourselves some time to really make an impact. And with this diagram, you'll see the different primary drivers, secondary drivers, and our change ideas. And then when we're in Ontario, we'll be discussing and finalizing action plans. Who's taking what action steps to implement these changes.
I like your fish diagram. I've never seen one with an eyeball and a smile.
We have
I guess a frown.
Yeah. It's just a fish mouth. Come on.
Yeah.
Fish don't really smile. They kind of
It's a resting fish face.
No. If they're smiling,
Resting
they're,
fish face. Oh my God! Who said that?
if they're
This
smiling.
room
Who said
has
that?
put a different energy into this.
Oh,
Maybe we need to move around a little bit.
Yeah, try out all the.
I don't know. It'd be scary.
That's gonna be my favorite Fridays statement that we pass around with the staff.
Resting fish face.
Well, have a nice trip. Dr.
That'll be good.
Been super busy, but I feel like it's really good progress.
Yeah.
As a school as a whole, we're having a lot of good progress.
Is
I
the
agree.
CEI advisory program just Blue Oak folks, or do you
It's
get
actually,
together?
we've got community partners with BCOE.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Donna Kresge is on it as well. And then Ayana Stewart is a graduate and alumni from Blue Oak, and she attends, I believe,
She's at
it's Inspire.
no, I think she's at Chico High. Ayana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's also on our committee.
Oh, okay.
So those are our community partners outside of Blue Oak, parents, staff, and students,
Oh, nice.
and admin.
Nice.
All right. Thank you. And item 5.6, attendance and behavior with Mrs. Domenicani.
Whoops, what's this?
Does anybody else need a
Yes.
bathroom break?
Ooh.
No, but if you do, you
Sure,
should
and
know.
take one. I
Taking
could
one.
use one.
Stand up, right?
Stand up.
Stand up right here. So there we go. Yeah, that's the report.
Can I get in this way?
I can let you in.
You can go around the back double doors if you want.
Oh, they got the.
Oh, look at you brought in the light.
You should see us in our office
I know.
trying to make sure our lights stay on when we're in
That
there.
means
I'm-
you need to stand
I'm-
up.
Exactly.
I'm sitting in my office and I hear this voice in the hallway. Well, Susan's not in there. Well, yes, I am.
It's me and
The
Louise.
lights are just gone off and I'm working away.
And it didn't bother you. You were still working away in the dark.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me though.
No.
I see everything I need.
Yeah. How's everything going with you?
Busy. Yeah, my partner instructor is on sabbatical. So it's me and adjunct faculty,
Oh, yeah.
which means that getting ready to admit new students,
Yeah.
getting people ready for graduation,
Yeah.
finding
Wow.
school placements, all of that is
You.
me.
Go,
Yeah.
go, right?
Yeah. It's a lot. I feel like it's the flavor of the
Spring just
decade.
tends,
I don't
yeah,
know.
spring tends to be busy.
Yeah.
Things are
Yeah.
just tense at the university.
May and December are like insane. Like those 2 months. Like anymore, May is it's just as busy as December, I feel like. So
We're starting our 7-day work weeks in the bees. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Oh, I'm too old for this.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And so how long does that go for?
Through the end of April, a little into May.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a long stretch.
It's what we do.
You what?
I hate these chairs.
Oh,
They're the worst.
yeah. I love being a mom for those of you that don't know.
Put a start.
I love being and my kids have not played sports really traditionally, right? Like they've done like other like gymnastics or ballet or whatever. And so two of my kids are playing basketball.
So fun.
So fun.
I'm
Like,
ridiculous at
I-
those games. I don't.
I'm like this annoying mom in the stands.
Yeah.
Who's your person? Who's your person? You know, get back. And I'm like, and then I stop and I'm like, I wonder if all these people are like, this woman needs to shut up. And then I
don't
try
think
to be
so.
quieter the next time. I can't help myself. And so then I finally, one of my friends was like, well, have you asked your kids if they're okay with it? And I'm like, no. That's a really
Yeah, that's
good point.
That's a thought.
So I've asked them and they said they like it. So I'm just
So
like,
that's all you
I'm
need.
just gonna do it.
That's all you need.
But one of the moms was like, I'm gonna get you a shirt or a hat that says, who's your person on it? Because I'm always yelling, because they're young and they like switch who they're defending. So I'm
Right.
always like, who's your person? Who's your person? And I was like, is that her subtly telling me I'm too loud?
Just wear the shirt and shut up.
Students got me a mug that said it depends.
Yeah.
Because most answers,
Yeah, it does. It does depend.
I don't allow them to use the phrase until they graduate. though.
Oh, yeah.
If you're gonna say that, you gotta tell me what it depends upon.
Yeah. This is our last week of basketball, which it has been a lot. It has been busy doing it.
Basketball
but
is
I'm
one of my
also
Are they on
favorites.
traveling teams too? I'm dismayed by how.
Oh, I
Our
know.
grandkids are, a couple of them are playing volleyball and it seems they go distances.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah, like overnight and
Yeah.
my nephew's on a traveling hockey team. Like they fly to Canada.
Yeah.
And he's 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing bothers me though, when I watch my granddaughters play travel volleyball is the teams are so white. I mean, there needs to be some way of
Yeah.
making it more inclusive.
Yeah.
It's really sad to me. It's just like, okay, there's all the white
Do they
kids
do
out
any
there having a
scholarships
good
on
time
any of
and
those,
they're,
Laurel?
what's,
Do they do scholarships for any of those? Do you know?
I don't think they,
Like
I
Carter's
don't know
good,
that
like
they
you can apply
do.
for
I
scholarships.
don't know that they do. And I was pleased, at least I've got twin granddaughters and they recognized that there was a girl who played better than they did,
Mhm.
who was Hispanic. who could not,
Couldn't afford it.
couldn't afford it, and that's just BS,
Uniform
you know?
or travel.
It's
or
expensive.
Any of it.
It is
And
so
then the
expensive.
cost of traveling and buying food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when my kids were little, I had 4 boys, and they were in like soccer and karate and baseball, and we were this like families who had required scholarships because I was a single mom. And when I say I had no idea how competitive of a person I was, it was, I mean, it's an understatement. I would be like, "You're going the wrong way," like so loud. And he's just running like a little, Sicilian
Yeah,
Italian
yeah.
boy, like Naruto, with his arms
Yeah.
like all out, kicking the ball like full speed ahead. Joe,
Yeah.
it was so fun. Oh, that was the best times.
Yeah, it is. I don't feel like I'm a competitive person, but it turns out I'm a little bit. But I also played
It's good.
I played basketball, so it's like,
And
Right.
so you know the sport too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
you
right,
ready?
call us back to order. Here we
Let's
go again. We were looking at item 5.6, correct? Yeah. Susan, and attendance behavior.
Okay, so behavior report based on Educator's Handbook, which we already talked quite a bit about. This shows you last year's, and then and then this year's, and I don't know why January isn't in there. Huh?
Well,
January
what's the
25?
Oh, I guess it would. Yeah.
It is on mine.
Okay, so you have that
What is it?
Interesting.
you have that is an older report for some
Is that the
reason.
one in the packet? Oh, I just
Yeah,
have the
it's
one
the
that
one in
was
the
emailed
packet.
like separately.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
this
Um,
is January's report. I need February's report.
You needed February's
There we go.
report.
Yeah, sorry.
It was on the
bad.
January for office was 62. Minor was 158, which brought the total to
Yep.
220.
Okay. And do you have last year's comparison?
Or
The
two.
number, where's the, like over to the side, is that what it is? The school days
Should be above where it shows, the school days
is 12.2.
too. Okay.
But is
So-
there a comparison? Do you see
There
a
is,
comparison?
so this month.
Oh, yes,
so
sorry,
just-
yes,
so-
I see it, January, okay.
Okay.
January 24, the office was 29, minor was 109, total was 138
For last year.
for last
Yeah.
year.
So we're up significantly this
Yeah.
month in January.
Yeah.
We were also at one of our top months for the year for per day. So that means when I take the first number divided by the number of school days in the month. So
it was
so
12.2.
you're seeing the actual day-to-day comparison. So that's 12. So we did have a significant increase in December, and we've talked through that with all staff in our February all staff meeting, first week of the month, talking about what is going on and getting some down on some details and, as I said earlier, clarifying. So we're moving on with continuing to get into the details and clean up the data. Our primary minor referral continued to be classroom disruption. Our primarily in classrooms, which makes sense. And then our primary office referrals are physical aggression, and in the classroom. And this previously it was in the classroom. This month it was equally divided between the classroom and the play yard. So that is, of course, an area of concern for students with physical aggression issues. We either have or are developing plans, individualized plans for them. And that goes through our behavior team, which meets every Tuesday afternoon. This Tuesday, we met with Melly Benz from the Butte County Office of Education Climate team. They have what's called Project Elevate. So they're taking us through
They took us through a series of questions called TFI. What does it stand for? Something I can't remember.
Something, it's, yeah, that's horrible, but I can't remember, because I remembered it as TFI. It's an inventory, it's a needs assessment.
Yeah, it's an inventory. What do you have? What do you not have? And so
Starting
we
with-
went through that with the team this week, and we'll meet again with her next month and go through. Or is it 2 weeks?
It's March 25th.
March 25th. Yeah, we'll go
And with
through.
that one, we'll go over the results of today's assessment as well as action plan.
Yeah. So again, that's a continuous improvement model, looking at best practices for behavior. And so, what are we doing now? What can we do better? What are we not doing at all? So that we'll be able to share more information with you next time.
All right. Thank you. Item 5.7. Fiscal policy review, grant approval.
So we have the big grant that we just wrote, and we're discussing it in finance committee. And I said, well, we have this policy that you're supposed to approve it first. And Ryan says, I thought we changed that. I'm like, you're right. We talked about it. I'm not sure we actually changed it in policy. So I asked for that change. Do you have that document?
Yeah, in the packet.
Is it not?
I didn't get anything from you for that. You didn't send me anything.
So we'll talk about it again next time. Mainly, the idea is that the language would change from we have to, before we apply for a grant, the board needs to approve it, to before we accept funds from a grant, the board needs to approve it. So that way we can write whatever we feel like we need to write and not have you committed to it. You committed to it once it's granted to us. So before we sign that we're going to accept it. That's the board. Yeah. So that's the plan change. And we will work on that next time.
Thank you. And our calendar for next year, or for, yeah.
This is so exciting. For me anyway. I'm the one excited about it. No, other people are too. So Chico Unified is always 2 weeks out on their calendars. And we've always 2 years out. Sorry, 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out, maybe that too. On their calendars. And so this year I asked the faculty who are the primary ones that work on the calendar, to the leadership, and then from leadership to faculty, to do 2 years. And so we'll be out 2 years.
Right.
And
That's
also
so
the
squirrely.
parent council doesn't, well, yeah, so they look at it too. So anyway, so we've come up with a calendar, 2 year, the 25, 26, and the 26, 27. So that moves us.
It's a lot trickier to do the calendar than
I could imagine.
jigsaw puzzle there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So I think the big discussion this year was, last year we had November 1st off because it's the day where everybody loved that. It was a Friday. Well, now Halloween is on Friday and then Saturday. So we have 2 years of not needing that. So we moved, you'll find a different day. We're now calling it the floating day off. So we have a calendar. So for example, I think not next year, but the year after, both our break and Easter are in March. So that's going to be a hard April and May. And so we're taking that floating holiday in that period of time instead of, so those are the kind of things we made.
Has there
We're sticking
actually been any progress on moving Halloween to a
Weekend?
last Saturday of the month or anything?
No, that'd be nice.
Oh, as far as
We've talked about it, right?
the whole
Yeah.
country.
It's come up, but I
whole world.
don't know if it's
As
just.
far as-
Yeah, I think it's because it's not a real holiday. It's not a holiday. Who's in charge of changing
Yeah.
that? It's not like it's a like
Sell it
federal
like
government
a-
or something.
yeah.
Who's in charge of
They
that?
move every other holiday, but this
I was gonna say, there's a lot.
sacredness.
Yeah.
of Halloween,
It can be a
you have
holiday.
like-
So the
It
20
must be on the
So next year, the first week is 5 days.
we're pretty much sticking to that. Yeah.
Much to Cheryl's chagrin.
Yes.
I was outvoted.
Our kindergarten and
were?
first grade teachers
Really?
are opposed to that.
Yes,
I'm surprised
What
that
about
teachers
this,
like that.
Pentathlon.
They
on
do.
a-
It
on
meant
a
another day off
thing. Is
somewhere
that addressed
else.
in this?
Hmm? Yeah,
It is addressed in this?
yeah.
As it,
Well-
well, in which direction?
The
The
pentathlon,
pentathlon.
Yeah.
Pen-
Oh,
the concert being.
Yeah. So
around.
So the actual, so no, it's not in this.
Oh, okay.
This is your overall calendar.
Off, though, again, is what he's asking. Is it a day off? Because
Yeah.
it's the last 2
No,
years.
it is not going to
It
be. So
falls.
yes, that is
Oh,
addressed.
okay. I
Okay.
think
Yeah, we
that is
moved
the
it, I
thing
think,
that's,
to a
like,
Monday.
flagging attendance.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
We changed it
2
to a
years I've
Monday,
had to
I
have
think,
it.
because.
It is on a Monday, I see.
Yeah, because there's no Friday that we can take off and not disturb something
Oh,
in May, because there's
Good.
the festival, there's the Mayfair, there's pentathlon and medieval games, so that's 3 years. So
Yeah.
And then,
But
so we
did
moved it to a
we,
Monday.
are the concerts the things in?
So the
listed
concerts,
here?
no, we're not. I'm asking for it to be done at the same time, but this body doesn't approve that.
Okay.
But what we're working on in tandem with that is establishing an events calendar, so that we will already have Harvest Festival set up as a date before we leave this year. So the
Or
entire
it's just
year.
like on like a, fourth whatever.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tricia, I
Lead
believe
by example with Halloween.
that next year that'll happen, but this year it's not happening.
We're very much like our second Tuesday,
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting there. We're getting away from like, let's discuss this, a big deal in September.
Mhm.
And, so we're getting to
Good.
that. I believe that by next year, we'll be saying,
Excellent.
And then we have to write it down somewhere, so then the next time somebody new comes into PC, they know.
well, now, yeah, and it'll be on the community calendar
There you
out
go.
for
Perfect.
years. So, it'll
Are we
be
voting
established.
to approve these calendars?
I hope so.
So just a question. The Native American Day, I'm assuming, is in October. But then, so I think it's great, the acknowledgement and it being a holiday, but then kids potentially miss out on activities related to that,
Like in the school.
Well, the Harvest Festival is now in October, and I think the intention is
And then
to,
they do something. Okay,
feel,
thank
just
you.
have more of that feel, instead of the Harvest Festival, like in the traditional Waldorf schools would always be the third, towards the end of August, September.
Right. Yes. So that was moved.
Yeah, the Harvest Festival is closer to Indigenous Peoples' Day week.
Okay.
Yeah, and the teachers asked for October, because October is a very difficult month as far as workload to get through, and so that extra day has been really appreciated by the
Appreciated, yeah.
teachers. So
And
Good.
does this match Chico Unified?
doesn't exactly match.
So some of the in-service days are
Are
different?
going to be different. Yeah,
Yeah.
That first day, last day.
and we're slightly off. We're like start a day earlier, end a day earlier, and
Okay.
that's part of
Oh, to
things
do with
like
high,
we don't
graduation.
want to have graduation on the same day they do. So
Okay.
all of those puzzle pieces
Okay.
have been considered by faculty.
All right. Moving right along to
Don't we have
Asking
to
for
vote?
motion.
Yes.
I move to approve the calendar.
I second it. All right. And go ahead and vote. Ryan,
Ryan, aye.
Laurel, aye.
Donna, aye.
Vicky, aye.
Trisha, aye.
Thank you. Passes. Differentiated assistance eligibility. Oh, eligibility letter. My tongue is tired, I guess. And discussion and action, differentiated assistance.
It's discussion really. It's informing you of the letter that we received, that we will be continuing to receive differentiated assistance because as we have from
This is great.
Butte County Office of Education. We have and gives us the information. We have done really well with students with disabilities in reducing suspensions and chronic absenteeism. We have not been so great with our Hispanic population. So
All right.
that's where we are with
Does
that.
it give the number?
So did you have the other document
Oh,
that I
yeah.
shared too that might, so it's a lot of reading, just for you to know that.
Oh, I see it.
This, if we can see it.
The
Yeah, there you
dashboard.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is what I wanted to show you. So this is what we're looking at and what the differentiated team shared with us. We are off of differentiated assistance for SWD, which is students with disabilities. We still have some work to do on suspensions, but there's no secondary item because we went and improved our attendance quite significantly. For Hispanics, however, though our chronic attendance doesn't look so bad, we now are seeing struggles in our English and math scores. So again, we have two, you can see the gray lines there. We have suspensions and we have now ELA and math. Both, just one would be enough, any of those in that area. So because of that, we're still, will continue to receive differentiated assistance for free from Butte County Office of Education.
That's a good thing.
The silver lining to me on this is, they are the data people that go through and go, this is what it is. They also have the resources to say, hey, your math scores are like this. Here are some other, here might be some reasons. So, for example, is our curriculum matching Common Core standards well enough, or could it better match that? So those are things that they can go through with us. So, these are issues that Blue Oak has had for 10 years. So I'm appreciating the professional outside support that they're able to give us.
Good. Excellent. Right.
And it's a collaborative process where the entire, our whole team sits together and talks about what the needs are, what our improvements, what improvements we're seeing, and then talking about what resources we need. We're able to provide that feedback. It's really cool.
Well, moving the school to a real data-based process is a significant need. And so I feel like bringing someone in to help us assess and look at the data has been really helpful. And, the leadership team that we have working on it is very committed and intent on it. We have 2 classroom teachers, a special ed teacher, our counselor, Karen and I on it. And they're really looking at data, and data is becoming more important to the school. And I think that will show.
More digestible.
Yeah.
It feels like more understanding.
Yeah. And helpful.
And it's driving the change. And we're
Yeah.
discussing and talking about it, which is also driving the change.
That's what it's supposed to do. Excellent. Thank you. Item 5.10, mid-year LCAP review. Discussion.
Okay, yeah, this is not for your approval. They tell me not to ask you for approval. It's just your review. It's a mid-year review. To show where we are on our LCAP goals.
Good. Thanks.
So, and, overall, I feel like this year's LCAP is a lot easier to measure how we're doing, and that we are moving
You also
positively
haven't
forward.
had any major catastrophes dumped in your lap that are beyond your control. So far, no fires.
No fires or floods or.
Well, we did have a fire.
We
had
lost a
the campfire. The park fire.
Yeah, we did. We have a
Right,
couple
yeah.
of students that have been affected by that, but not quite so.
Susan's also doing 2 jobs
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah.
losing Amanda is a bit of a catastrophe for me personally. But
But at the same time, a silver lining with that too, because it's helped us identify so many areas that we are like, oh yeah, we can, in my opinion.
we're doing all right. And she, by the way, apparently is going to Germany next year.
What
So,
sense?
It's the
She's
second
going-
person I know.
yeah,
that is
she's
going to
being,
Germany.
her husband's being transferred to Germany.
Yeah.
So she's pretty
Well, what
like
is
floating on a
happening
cloud,
in Germany?
on the clouds right now.
Sounds good.
She's pretty excited about that.
Good for me.
So,
All right.
all right.
And is that our review? We reviewed.
Do you have any
Our
questions
review.
on it?
Questions or comments?
Unless you want me to read it through for you, but I don't. I'm hoping that I
No.
Okay.
Still the printed version.
Okay, last item.
There's no like out data in the mid-year, like the column, right? Like,
There is.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. It's not in the column for this year. It's, where is it?
oh, maybe.
It's
I
in
mean-
It's
our
just like
mid-year
not in the, in
Well, it
the,
data.
says mid-year outcome data.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I just haven't got to one that has any.
No, they're all. I mean,
well, the
right
funding
there.
is, the main
Two
thing is
of
the
them.
funding, of course, and that's all
Mine-
broken out to how
mine-
much we've spent in each
Okay,
area.
This one is
And then if you go to, all right, where is it? Mid-year, yeah.
like goal 1. Okay.
Right, so you've got the
Measurement.
goal, then you've got the objectives, and then you've got the measurement.
Got it. Like the expenditures has stuff, but
Yeah, so
I'll
we'll,
let you know if I have any
we'll
questions.
roll back down, Maggie.
Okay.
Let me show you what I've written, what's been written in there. So see if I can.
I see that one.
So there, so 7 community partners is what our baseline is. We currently now have 4 community partners as of this mid-year.
Mhm.
So that's your data column right there.
Okay. It's just the first couple goals didn't.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we haven't made any progress on
Whoops.
the food services, for example.
Okay.
So that one's, yeah, we
Okay.
just, but it's a 3-year goal.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah, yeah,
Is-
yeah.
It's just,
Is the food serve program is a federal program?
it is federal and state, yeah. There's
Both.
parts for both.
All righty, thank you. Policy review. 5.11,
Right,
policy review.
we have this one, right?
We did that.
No.
I sent it to you.
When?
I sent it to you
Okay.
that very
All right,
day.
I'm sorry.
Which policy?
So this is a new policy on immigration.
Oh, the immigration
Oh.
policy. I'm sorry, you
Oh.
didn't say that. I do have
Okay.
that. Hang on.
It just says policies.
Hang on,
review
hang
on
on.
here.
I know, I said that.
Sorry. Here it is. Okay.
So,
Just wanted to give you one more heart attack.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. So, in
Messy.
discussions with state advisors and county advisors and federal advisors, one of the things that was suggested that we have in the current environment is an immigration enforcement policy. So here it
Is this in
is.
response kind of to the letter?
And other
Kinda.
letters and just, yeah.
Okay.
And it's, the reality of the fact that there are, even in our community, ICE law enforcement.
Mhm.
And that though I have covered this with staff as to what we do if ICE
Yeah.
shows up, the strength of having a policy to support it and to support them. So that's what this is for.
Okay,
Who wrote this again?
I wrote that, I pulled it from a combination of Chico Unified and
Yeah,
Willows Unified.
I have a little concern about,
Did you need me to go back up, Laurel?
no, it's, okay, the executive director or designee, yada, 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 regardless of immigration status or religious beliefs and their rights related to immigration enforcement. If kind of parsing that, regardless of immigration status, regardless of religious beliefs, and regardless of their rights related to immigration enforcement. That's to me, not worded correctly.
Okay.
You're wanting
Like
them to be-
regardless of their rights. No, it's not regardless of their rights. It's
Regarding the
it's
It's saying that the executive director or designee shall notify.
which paragraph?
Regarding.
Which paragraph are you
when
working
when
on?
you start that.
Third
one.
one.
Yeah.
The executive
change
just
was
says regarding.
regardless
Regarding
of
their
immigration
children's
status
rights to a
or
free public.
religious.
Regarding, yeah, we have the
Yeah.
right to notify
Regarding their
parents
rights.
regarding their rights, regardless of
I
their.
guess I'm struggling with the regardless.
Right.
Well, so all we're doing, Laurel is saying, and if this doesn't sound right, all we're doing is saying that your children
Okay.
have a right to an education. We're not tracking their immigration or their
Yeah.
religion. That's to me what it's saying.
Right.
In
So
more
could
legal
it be
language.
regarding their children's rights
Yeah.
related to immigration status and regardless of immigration status or religious beliefs? For me, that's hanging out there.
I mean, Ryan made a good point. If we just left everything as is and put a comma after the word beliefs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it needs something. I would move that, clause, the rights related to
So
immigration.
where are you putting them, comma?
After
After
beliefs
beliefs.
on the last line.
That helps definitely. Comma.
Okay, that, I agree.
Thanks.
That's a good comma.
Oh, good
Thanks
comment.
thanks for that comma.
Here it was.
Thanks,
All right.
Ryan.
That's why
Yeah.
I come to these meetings.
Yeah.
I come with one comma.
Well,
I'm done.
So again, our general policy is that we review it and then we approve it
Yeah.
at you approve it at the next meeting. So, but please ask any questions that you
So
have.
this is
now.
the review process.
This
yeah.
is
This is,
information.
yeah,
First look.
So if it's reviewed right now, then it's not passed. So for a month, we don't have anything in
Yeah.
at school.
Unless we were to,
Have a special meeting.
have a special meeting to just approve it, right? And there's no reason we couldn't do that.
there's no reason, there's no
One
reason you couldn't approve it now. I think it's generally so
You get
the
a
world
chance
and the
to-
community can look at, your policies. But I don't know that there's a rule that, if you want
You
to,
can,
if we feel this is an emergency and we need this policy approved now,
Look at that.
I
Are you
think you
feeling
could
that
make
way?
that.
She's even not thinking about it.
Did she put a comma in there? Okay.
So now you can approve it.
There, it's
All right.
perfect.
love it.
There's
You
really
have
no
to
rule
correct
about
it
having
on
to
your
read it
end.
out twice? Is that
There is.
bylaws?
That is our bylaw.
Yeah, and there is
Yeah.
a rule.
So if you were to
Yeah.
say, I feel this policy needs to be in place today and I want to make that, this happen,
With that change.
that change,
That's
we
sweet.
can still, we can
I-
do that and then you
well,
can.
we've had staff members say that that would be a good thing to do. To have
Let's
in
do
place
it.
today. Now,
It would
I
be-
move that we approve this today and not wait till next month.
you rock.
I'll second it.
Oh, right.
I'll third it.
Questions or comments? Huh? So we can go ahead and vote on approval of our immigration
Immigration.
immigration enforcement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, thank you very
And
much.
take it away.
Ryan, aye.
Laurel, aye.
Donna, aye. Vicky, aye.
Trisha, aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I'm glad we did that. Last item, administration. What do we got going on with the executive director's
Just a lot
report?
of
Oh,
good
God.
stuff. You have that one?
No.
Maggie's like, oh,
I
no,
don't have
no,
any
no.
of them.
So the Scholastic Book Fair, well, she's finding that, has been going on this week.
Yeah.
And Maggie is doing a wonderful job heading up
can't
the
do both.
Scholastic Book Fair, getting it all organized, setting up the
Oh,
books,
God.
organizing the volunteers. Yeah, so,
And working it,
and working at it.
yeah,
Mhm.
killing it.
And how many
Um,
e-slips did you get today, Maggie?
ED report. ED.
How dare you?
Oops.
What's it? What is it?
At least
Report.
12.
Slips. The e-slips are
That's our tracking
plentiful,
purpose
I
for
think.
like action
work
items that
order.
need to happen.
If you want
Yeah.
something,
Fixed or?
Triage.
Get something fixed, yeah.
Or
have a meeting.
have a meeting.
Let's see.
and Maggie has to process them.
When did
And
you?
C's for Susan.
Delineate them to the right person.
Ryan Sanders.
Everything gets- They don't make
I got the
Ryan.
DA.
I bet you they do.
Except when I don't show up to my meetings. They're like, where the hell
Why
are
do
you?
you have one of your people?
She's on sabbatical. She's finishing up.
Can I ask a question under the executive director report while she's looking?
Sure.
Do we have a, and you can tell me if this doesn't fall under that, but that's the only place I could think it would fall.
Basically
Is there a plan for
proceeds.
the assistant executive director position moving forward?
It is, we're in the
On
process
development.
of
That sounds like.
reviewing applications.
Yes.
Oh, so we are
Yeah,
looking to
they're really in a hurry
replace
because
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
the
you guys were like
publisher is
looking
not
at
a fan of
reconfiguring
DEI
at
right
one
now.
point, I
They
think
feel
so.
like they have
Yeah.
a mission.
And that's what, okay.
That's, well,
Be
the
difficult to
finance committee
So she's just
said
finalizing.
we need to.
Yeah.
Writing
Was
or
that
she's gonna
good?
research stuff.
Yeah, I
They're-
stuck to
they're-
December and I'm not seeing where you sent it to me.
Oh, I probably just shared it with you, didn't I?
Oh, it's just probably.
It would be in
so-
my email if
She
you
said
did.
she's done.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm-
true. You would get it.
So is it, she's
That
doing
when- That
revisions
makes
or?
it confusing as a sender.
Right.
When you share a document. it doesn't
We
show
haven't
you
met
sent
for
it.
how many
Yeah,
days?
it's-
I know, it
That's
seems
forever.
like a week.
Seems like forever. All right.
This would be
I had
helpful.
such a fun time writing it. I have
Just
to
normal.
make sure
Dang
it's
it.
shared.
Right.
Let's see.
If you share it with me, I'll.
I had to put flowers on it and everything.
Oh, man.
In February, I have to put flowers on
Flowers are in February?
it for Valentine's Day.
Oh, got it. Those kind
I have to have.
I was thinking like bloom, like spring.
Which also.
We went to Table
potentially
Mountain on
impacts
Sunday.
our-
Is it blooming already?
Not yet, not all the way, but we go for
Oh.
the salamanders, the kids love all the
Oh.
salamanders.
You go down to
Yeah.
the waterfall?
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. It was so quiet because it rains.
Okay, I'm getting 2020.
I'm
That's so,
kidding.
so helpful.
The home in
Yeah,
Orchard
waiting on
Town
final
is
notification.
beautiful. I live across the street from one. It's just.
Oh,
so-
I want
Let's
to,
see what
I want
happens.
to have somebody take
Yeah,
photos in
so
one of them.
far.
Like I need to
Yeah,
find a
they're
photographer.
I was driving
Photographer.
home yesterday and here's this girl, like I'm thinking senior, and a photographer.
And then,
Yeah.
they're
And then,
so
yeah,
pretty.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
And her hair's blowing across her face though. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
We have out
So
in
now
our
I'm just
backyard.
figuring out how do I.
Oh.
School here is the ornamental pear
There you
tree.
go.
Yeah.
With a beautiful blossom, but they smell like stinky socks.
Stink. They're so stinky.
They are. Oh my, how fun.
Yeah.
Was that hard to get down there?
No, it's not bad.
Would it be hard for me?
If you guys only
going
understand what
down-
I'm hearing from my end, it's like
Sticky socks.
sticky socks getting under there.
Was it
down
hard
there.
to get down there?
All right.
There's some loose
No, this is right on her feet.
but it's not.
I did
hard,
share
though.
it with you,
There's some
but
poison oak.
I'll share it with you again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Cute.
How's your baby chicks? How's your baby? I bet they're all grown up. Your chicks.
Nobody's laying eggs right now.
Yeah,
They're on strike.
You have 4 of
There it
them,
is.
right?
Okay.
There it is.
You have 5. Yeah.
I think they need.
There it is.
Oh,
See?
there's a flower.
No.
And I didn't go with roses this
Yeah.
time.
Hearts and flowers.
Hearts and flowers.
Wow.
We see a lot of that. As you saw with the second grade,
More mealworm.
lots of flowers.
All
All right.
righty.
So lots of Friday favorites. That's as Karen mentioned, we send out an email every week and just say, share your Friday favorites so we can talk about the fun stuff we see. So this is 8th grade. We are in a physics block and are studying sound. I brought my crystal sound bowls amongst other items, and the students were so engaged and happy. Present moment of happiness in 8th grade.
Yay.
Student got her first tiara, real tiara, and
Really?
was so excited to be able to wear it that she asked me to wear mine today. So we both had our tiaras.
Oh, is that from Joan?
Yeah.
Emma Todd helped my youngest daughter after she fell yesterday. Oops, should take that
Oh,
student's name out. Here we go. Has been talking about how nice she is nonstop ever since because Emma told her she was brave.
Oh.
Student told the class I was from fairyland because of how I sneeze. You know, really, these conversations don't go on in other schools. We don't talk about fairyland. Okay, now what's going
What
on?
are you doing?
I don't know. I'm trying to roll it down so I can see the next page.
All right, you're sharing it and I'm sharing
Okay,
it.
that's not good. I will.
Well, because you're working off the same document.
Yeah.
There we go.
Maggie's
so
in
you,
control
yeah,
of
so now
scrolling.
okay, scroll down, Maggie. You scroll yours. It's now
Maggie's like, I'm not
public
playing
announcement. Oh, yeah, it's just harder for me
We
to
are-
read.
okay, I'll make it
the
bigger.
C's. My favorite moment was covering lower grades recess on Friday and watching several third, fourth, fifth grade boys swinging and singing songs. Baby, 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 oh, at the top of their
Oh, is that
lungs.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Then after 8 rounds of Justin Bieber, they switched to Taylor Swift's love story song. So that we do enjoy singing children.
I like that they're still singing in sync. I mean,
I know.
Does it make you feel not so old? Yeah. At the school dance, the DJ played In Sync, Bye Bye Bye, and the sixth grader says we have to get back in there. They're playing the song from Deadpool.
Oh.
And then they ruined it.
Oh, okay.
And then they ruined it.
Yeah, I'm working on irregular past tense with several students, and one of them had an aha moment this week. I love the flash of understanding and the light in their eyes as the dots started to connect. So the calendars you've already approved. This is exciting that we're getting out 2 years. So healthy to have that done and have that side of forward movement with all of that. Project Elevate, I talked about a little bit already. That's what the behavior team is working on with Melee at the county office. Seeing this as a huge, it's a way of looking at all of the pieces of what we need to do rather than just what we may see. So it's really helpful. And then I continue working on behavior, developing and training on the educator's handbook is a big priority. The behavior team then assesses the outcomes by recategorizing incidents and actions and continuing to dig into the behavior data. I've begun teacher evaluations. There's a Valentine's dance. Report cards are out. CEI, I don't know what the number sign is in the middle, hashtag is in the middle of that. Regular coaching days, getting out in the classroom, and then continuing to focus on improving internal documentation of procedures. And sometimes it's just a matter of realizing that it's written one way in one document and another way in another document, and that's confusing. So those sorts of things, trying to get that improved. I do my, this is my Friday favorites. So Tuesday morning rounds one day this month. Started in 8th grade with discussion on possible careers. They were talking about career development. In 7th grade, they were discussing which would be better first thing in the morning, ELA or math. And I love those kind of discussions and that input. 6th grade was doing thank you notes to counselors. 2nd grade was having movement time, and boy, were they moving. And then it was the 1st grade's 100 days of school.
Oh my
That was an exciting day. They were so tickled. They were making, at one point they were had Fruit Loops, and then they were making necklaces with 100 Fruit Loops. And so and they were just giggling and laughing, having the best time. So, and then I shared with you the letter from the Department of Education last month. We've had another one from the state saying not to worry about it. So that's where we're going with that.
Not to worry about what?
The letter we got a letter from the federal
Remember
government
that letter she gave us last week?
Last week?
Yeah,
when
Or we didn't.
well,
we
she
did-
sent out the letter.
I shared it with you.
Yeah. Were you were here, right?
Alrighty.
Yes,
So
but we
this
didn't
is-
meet.
We didn't meet, but
We
there was a
didn't meet. I
letter,
did-
and we
I
said
did
we'll
just share
discuss
the
it.
letter out.
Yeah, we just shared it.
So it's
Must not have been
There
terrible.
you
I
go.
wasn't, was I worried?
No.
No, you probably were thinking about it. So,
You're not
yeah, you know, we're really in a state of flux with all that. The federal, you know, the
It's,
state made it clear to note that the letter itself says this isn't a legal requirement. And so, that's the way we're going with it right now.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna adjourn us here,
Okay.
Okay.
because that discussion's gonna go downhill.
Yeah, we don't need to. We need to know about it. I need to tell you about it. We
Yeah.
don't need to discuss it.
We got our
any
little
further than that.
policy in place, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
We got
All
our
right.
comma in place. We're
Yeah.
we
good.
have the comment in the right place.
Really. And thank you all for coming, and we will see you March 18th.
Wait, that's during spring break.
Yeah. it
No,
is.
it's not March 18th.
Well, that's what it says in here.
Yeah, it says March
You have a
18th.
wonderful
Spring
spring
break. We
day,
probably moved it on the calendar though,
springtime.
and it's maybe when we
It's either
approved
the
it,
week
our meeting
before or the
date.
week after. Usually we do
Thanks.
it Tuesday after.
It's not my style, but I can never find my phone.
Next
And so
meeting
this
will
is-
be,
I don't know where that calendar would be.
Oh,
And it has these
yeah,
little
no,
bumpers.
it didn't get moved.
That's it, no, somewhere.
I
it's
think
up.
that's what we have, but I don't think it got moved. So
Would we have
I
done
can move it now to the week
Do we-
after.
And what, do we want to move it to the week after?
That was,
And what's everybody's schedule the week before, week after? I'm gone the week before. It's like, but I don't have to be here.
oh, finance committee
Yeah.
and
No, it'd be the
facilities.
Oh, that is
25th.
nice. Yeah.
Says facilities at 6.
Yeah, which we're gonna end up moving.
Arthritis.
So the 25th or the 11th.
I know that I can see. Okay, we're talking about the 11th,
25th.
Yeah, the 25th.
the 25th, okay.
Yeah, I don't care.
You don't.
Don't
I'm
care.
good.
Either way.
I'm good.
Either way is
6
fine.
p.m.
25th?
on the 25th then is our next meeting.
Susan,
Mhm.
do you like these to be shared with all?
Yes, I do like your notes to be shared with all.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am?
Just a question. It seems like last year our meetings appeared on the Google Calendar.
Like on the actual school calendar.
Yeah. Which helped me
Helped
because
you.
they just managed,
Oh.
particularly showed up.
You're
Yeah.
just, you're in your calendar, you're with your school email, you mean, like
Yes.
that one.
Is there a, can
I didn't send you a calendar invite.
Yeah.
There's a link there. When she
Maybe-
sends you an invite, there's a link there that you
Maybe
can-
Maggie just needs to make sure you're listed as there as a attendee.
yeah, but I used to see them for every month
Yeah,
and I'm not now, so I don't know
So
what
you
I.
want the whole calendar on your calendar? Like,
Yes, on the
every
Blue
month.
Oak version,
So,
because
yeah.
then my phone integrates them
okay.
and I don't
Miss things,
Okay.
yeah.
double book myself. Although 6 o'clock is not usually a prime time for that.
6 o'clock
But
Tuesday.
it does
Every
change the
once in
way
a
I
while.
do things in
Yeah.
the daytime.
Beginning of this semester.
I don't see Donna's email on me. So maybe that's why. It has Chelsea.
Chelsea's.
Is Chelsea still? No.
Oh, take
No,
But,
her email
off
is dead,
there.
but her email may still be on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
invite. But it's not a.
Who was that other woman
Just
who
like look at all these.
started her own nonprofit thing?
It's so weird.
Leanna,
Leanna.
Yeah.
Is she technically still on this?
no,
No.
Her
she's-
thing ended.
ended.
Oh,
When
Where-
is our terms?
yeah.
That's,
Oh,
that's
How do
Is
we
that
get more
coming
people on here so we don't have like a last week?
Huh?
We're missing some seats, right?
we are
a parent.
missing.
We're
a
missing
And a
a
community.
parent and a community member. And we
missing a
just need one.
parent. Oh.
Yeah. We're kind of
Parents
skeleton
do some
everywhere if like
heavy-
anybody
heavy
misses.
recruiting.
I
Can't.
know, I apologize about that.
Oh, no, no, that's okay, but
Well, I would
we can
love to.
architect